Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Welcome to Sandal College Boys Section Online Class 7. Dear students, here is Akhtar Saeed, your English teacher. Today is lecture number 49, Unit 4, The CAREW Murder Case. Today is part 3 of 3. It means today's lecture is the last lecture of the text of the CAREW Murder Case. Inshallah, we'll conclude the text of the CAREW Murder Case. I would like to tell you something about the author of this story. This story is taken from a novella. Novella means short novel by Robert Louis Stevenson, called The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Dear students, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde are the names of the same person. That was first published in 1886. It is about a London lawyer named Mr. Utterson who investigates strange occurrences between his old friend Dr. Henry Jekyll and the evil Edward Hyde. These are the names of the same person. What happens actually? What Mr. Utterson doesn't realize is that the good Dr. Jekyll has created a potion. This was a genius doctor who created a medicine, who created a liquid, and by taking that medicine, taking that liquid, that transforms him into the evil Mr. Hyde. So he became Mr. Hyde, and Mr. Hyde now does not want to change back to Dr. Jekyll. Stevenson wrote the novella very quickly during a period of illness. It was an immediate success and remains popular today. Dear students, before embarking on the text, I would like to give you the summary of the lesson that we have read earlier before the Eid holidays. Number 1, the maid, as you can see in the picture, she is looking through the window. The maid went upstairs to sleep at 11 at night. Number 2, through the window, she saw a short-statured man killed an old but beautiful man. Number 3, she fainted. After seeing the murder, this maid-servant, fainted, behosh ho gayi. When she came to senses, she called the police. Number 4, with the help of a broken stick and an envelope addressed to Mr. Utterson, he was contacted. Mr. Utterson was contacted because of the letter, as his name was written on the envelope. Number 5, Mr. Utterson went to the police station to see the dead body. Number 6, Mr. Utterson recognized the stick and took the police to the killer's house because he knew the killer. Now we read the story. Dear students, Mr. Utterson, the lawyer, and the police officer went to the killer's house and knocked at the door. Who opened the door? That was an ivory-faced, silvery-haired old woman. Ivory-faced means that lady had long teeth like an elephant and silvery haired. Her hair was white. Opened the door. She had an evil face. Evil means bad, wicked. उसके चेहरे पे मक्कारी थी. Smoothed by hypocrisy. Hypocrisy कहते हैं double faced. उसके चेहरे पर मुनाफकत थी, उसको उसने छुपाया हुआ था. But her manners were excellent. Her behavior was very good. Yes, she said, this was Mr. Hyde's. It means that was Mr. Hyde's house, but he was not at home. He had been in that night very late. He came to the house according to that lady, but he came to the house very late, but had gone away again in less than an hour. There was nothing strange in that because his habits were very irregular. There was no discipline in his habits. Sometimes he came very late and went away very quickly. And he was often absent. For instance, it was nearly 2 months since she had seen him till yesterday. You can imagine he was not very regular in coming to his house. Very well then, we wish to see his rooms, said the lawyer, and when the woman began to declare means announced, say very loudly, it was impossible. Actually, the woman did not want them to visit his rooms. I had better tell you. Had better means it is better for him to tell the lady who this person is, he added. This is Inspector Newcomen of Scotland Yard. A flash of odious joy appeared upon the woman's face. Odious means hateful. Hateful joy appeared, came over the face of that lady, of that old lady who had ivory faced and grey haired. Ah, said she, he is in trouble. She realized that Mr. Hyde was in trouble. That's why policeman and lawyer had come to her house. What has she done? What has he done? She asked what Mr. Hyde had done. Mr. Utterson and Inspector exchanged glances. Glances means looked. Both Mr. Utterson and the inspector looked at each other. He doesn't seem a very popular character, very famous person, observed the inspector, and now just let us in. They asked the lady to let these people, to let them come into the house. In the whole extent of the house was very big, which but for the old woman remained otherwise empty. It means only the old woman was there in the house, and the whole house was empty. There was no other person in the house. Mr. Hyde had only used a couple of rooms. Mr. Hyde used only 2 rooms, but these were furnished. Furnished means equipped with luxury and good taste. Luxury means richness and good taste. He decorated those houses with costly things, with costly furniture and other usable items. A cupboard was filled with food and drinks. It means the cupboard was full with eatable items. The table was set with silver cutlery and fine china, and very good cutlery and other utensils were there over the table. Artwork hung upon the walls, a gift, as Utterson supposed, from Henry Jekyll, who was much of a connoisseur. Connoisseur means expert, and the carpets were thick and expensive looking. Expensive means costly. Everything was very costly. It seemed that he was a very rich person and he had taste. He knew how to decorate the house in a very good way. At this moment, however, the rooms bore every mark of having been recently not long ago, ज़्यादा अरसा नहीं हुआ, and hurriedly ransacked, searched thoroughly, कि जैसे उसकी जल्दी जल्दी में तलाशी ली गई है किन किन चीज़ों की. Clothes lay about the floor, as the clothes were scattered over the floor with their pockets inside out. It means the person who came to this room, that was obviously Mr. Hyde, he searched the pockets of his clothes in a very hurried manner. That's why all the pockets were inside out. Drawers stood open. Drawers were also open, and on the hearth. Hearth means fireplace, grate, आतशदान, जो कमरे को गर्म करने के लिए एक आतशदान होता है. On the hearth there lay a pile of grey ashes. राख का वहाँ grey ashes, राख का वहाँ एक छोटा सा ढेर सा था. As though many papers had been burned. It means Mr. Hyde had burned a lot of papers, a lot of documents from these embers. Embers means ashes. वो जो चीज़ जल के राख हो जाती है. फ्रॉम दीज एशेज, फ्रॉम दीज एम्बर्स, द इंस्पेक्टर disinterred means discovered the stub means piece, remains of a green checkbook, the checkbook of any bank, which had resisted the action of the fire. Resisted means fought, struggled, which the fire could not burn it. It was remained there, and the other half of the stick was found behind the door. This is the half stick. The other half was lying in the street, and this is the same stick with which he killed that old but beautiful gentleman. As this clinched his suspicions, क्लेंच्ड मीन्स कन्फर्म्ड, इसने उसकी सस्पिशंस को, उसकी डाउट्स को मजबूत कर दिया, उसकी तस्दीक कर दी, बिकॉज हाफ ऑफ द स्टिक वॉज बिहाइंड द डोर एंड द सेम स्टिक, द सेम हाफ ऑफ द स्टिक वॉज देयर इन द स्ट्रीट. The officer declared himself delighted. Delighted means happy. The officer said that he was happy because they were very near the killer now. A visit to the bank where several £1,000 were found to be lying to the murderer's credit. In the account of the murderer, in the account of Mr. Hyde, there were several £1,000s. It means he was enough rich person. Completed his gratification. Gratification means satisfaction. He was completely satisfied now that he had almost found the killer. You may depend upon it, sir, he told Mr. Utterson. What is this it? This is the part of the stick, the half stick. I have him in my hand. He must have lost his head. He must have gone mad. He must have gone crazy. वो शायद पागल हो गया था. Or he never would have left the stick. कि वो कभी भी यहाँ स्टिक ना छोड़ के जाता. ये उसका पागलपन ही है. घबराहट में छोड़ गया. Above all, burned the checkbook. He'll need money to live. Obviously, he was now hiding himself. He needed money to lead his life. We have nothing to do but wait for him at the bank. Obviously, he would come to the bank to get his money. So the policeman and Mr. Utterson thought that they should go to the bank and wait for him there and get out the wanted posters. वो जो मतलूब इश्तिहारात होते हैं, they said that they should also distribute those posters so that with the help of those wanted posters they might arrest the killer. This, however, was not so easy to accomplish. Accomplish means achieve, complete. It was not easy to achieve their purpose, achieve their goal. It was not easy to complete this case because very few people knew Mr. Hyde. Because Mr. Hyde was not a popular person, a lot of people did not know him. Even the master of the servant maid, this was the lady who was sitting by the side of the window. Actually, it is because of whom they reached the murderer, because she witnessed herself the murder. Servant maid had only seen him twice. The master of the servant maid had only seen him twice. सिर्फ 2 दफ़ा उसने देखा था. His family could nowhere be traced. Traced means found. His family could not be found, could not be traced. He had never been photographed. He did not give any photograph of himself. And the few who could describe him, the few people who could explain his face, who could describe his face, differed widely, because every person described his face in a different way. So as common observers will, as the common people describe the face in their own way, nothing was particular. All the people had different views about the face of that killer. Only on one point where they agreed, and that was the haunting sense. Haunting means memorable, lasting, जो सबके जहन में बार बार आ रही थी, of strangeness. They all thought that he looked very strange. Mr. Hyde, who was the killer, was very strange, with which he left the people. He left this impression among the people that he looked very strange. That's all of today's lecture, dear students. I would like to watch this lecture once again for better clarification. Try to understand the meanings and the story. If you have any question, you may contact me in the feedback group. I'll be there to answer your questions. Till some next lecture, take a very good care of yourself and your dear ones. Thank you very much.